What is up, y'all?
What's poppin'?
It's your girl, Lindsey Does It.
And it's Hazel Joy.
And this is
the Fillennials Podcast.
I got it. Yeah, he's got it this time. Yeah, so you guys are in for another, hopefully, educational episode. This week, I kind of want to touch on the Filipino name.
Yes.
Whether it be your first name or your surname, I feel like there is such a variety when it comes to Filipino names and family names.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the chance, we'll get into it later, but I did ask my mom the origination of our name, our last name, and even our first names. So we can get into that later.
Yeah.
But shout out to our crew for helping us with this new set design that we were kind of playing around with.
Hope you guys like it. It's a little bit more laid back.
Featuring Mac's beautiful plants behind us.
I mean, they're so well taken care of. They're thriving, giving us oxygen.
Forget the name of this one, but there's a Monstera, and then I forget the name of this one.
What's it called?
Oh, Dumb Cane.
Dumb cane.
Dumb Cane. That's
Damn.
pretty cool.
It's like Dumb Cane Donuts.
Dumb Cane Donuts.
Anyway, how you been, Hazel? I mean, let's go ahead and talk about ourselves before we get into it.
Yeah, no.
What's up with you?
I'm good. Everything is good. It's kind of, I mean, not everything, but I mean, you know, it's a roller coaster, but we surviving out here in these streets of LA. And it's just fun watching Malachi just do like all the things that he does. Let me see what his new thing is right now. He knows the concept of the word no. Ooh. I think he does. Well, he's pretty smart, so I feel like he does. And he like shakes his head no now. So that's one of his things. Like if he knows we're about to say no, he already is like, he's so funny. Did I tell you about the time he started pointing? Like that was his thing. So what's so like creepy too is like I'm trying to put him to sleep and it would be dark in the room, and out of nowhere he's just pointing because that was his new thing. No. And I'm like, this boy. I'm like closing my eyes, like just go to sleep. Just go to sleep.
You know what they say, children and like small animals can see supernatural and like apparitions and stuff.
That's why I kind of not try to overthink that he's thinking of like actually pointing things out to me, because that would freak me out, and I just try to ignore it. But
you know what I would do if I saw him pointing? I would get my phone out and start recording.
And
then watch the playback to see if there's like orbs or like
hell no
silhouettes.
No, I wouldn't. Like that. I don't want to see anything. So I think that's why I can't see anything, because I don't want to see it. But anyways, how are you doing?
Doing well. Can't complain. What's going on? It's November now. I think we could say that. And I'm looking forward to actually a concert coming up.
Ooh.
As a millennial, one of my favorite R&B groups of the 90s is on tour, Tony.
Hey.
And this is their first time touring with Raphael Sadiq in years. And Raphael Sadiq is the original lead singer. And so me and my boyfriend, we're going to Vegas, you know what I'm saying? We're going to, do it big and watch them perform at the Palms. So that's coming up very soon. And I'll definitely report back to let you know how that concert goes after we get back. So I'm excited for that. And it's holiday season now. So
holiday season.
Whoop-de-doo. What whoop-de-doo. Where the rumpa-pum-pum. Like, I don't know the words, but when I was younger, I used to like not care for Christmas season. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm older, I'm like all about it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, give me the Christmas songs. Give me the freaking trees and the decorations. Give me all of that
why
stuff.
Didn't you care about it when you were younger?
I just felt like it was overkill. I think it was like so in your face and like very, I don't know, like you couldn't escape it. Live it like anywhere in the United States, like everybody gets into it. You couldn't escape it. It's like, oh my God, it's so many trees, so many bows, so many lights, so many all this stuff. But something changed, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, put on that Mariah Carey, baby.
Hey, let's Lindsey go. The Grinch before.
I was the Grinch, and now I'm Saint Nick.
Because I've always loved Christmas season. It was my dad's favorite holiday, so it would always be such a fun time. I heard Christmas in the Philippines is like a 2-month celebration.
Oh my God.
Like they start in November.
Gotta be. Because I mean,
I heard it's really fun out there too.
We're such a Catholic people. We're such a Christian people out there. And that kind of goes into like what we're going to talk about today. We're like so religious, and like Catholicism, Christianity was brought to us by the Spanish when they colonized us and all that stuff. So,
Yep.
I mean, I don't blame us for celebrating it. I mean, I
Right.
think it's a beautiful thing, it symbolizes so many things, especially like family and, the Savior and all that. So yeah, I don't blame people for going all out. You know
I don't
what mean?
either.
What
It's
other
a
holidays
fun
are
time.
out there in the Philippines? You know what I mean? That you can like go all out. They don't have a
That's
4th of July.
true.
They don't
That's
have
true.
a Thanksgiving, right? They don't really have anything.
Do they not
big.
have a Thanksgiving? Really?
I
Oh, you're right,
don't
huh?
think so. I think that's an American
Do they do
thing.
Halloween, or is that mostly American
I
too?
don't think so, because I feel like that's so non-Christian.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
So if you're from the Philippines and you're watching or listening to this, tell us, because I'm really curious.
Yeah, I'm
what
just
holidays, big holidays, you celebrate in the Philippines? Because I didn't realize. Yeah, well, I know Halloween's isn't mostly a U.S. thing too.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
I think it's specifically U.S. Yeah. Or, I mean, I think some European countries and just like other people celebrate it too, but not like we do.
Oh, speaking of Halloween, can we give Erin a shout out for we matched at the Halloween party and we didn't plan it at all. We wore the Ghostbusters theme.
Oh,
that was so awesome because me and JP also kind of, it was on a whim. It was just like easy costume to like do, and then we had Malachi in a little, what's it called, the puffed ghost. The little like
the Michelin Man looking marshmallow
Exactly.
guy. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
So that was really fun. And I was telling JP on the ride, they're like, oh, that'd be cool if someone else was also wearing Ghostbusters, because there's like 5 of them, I think.
Oh, right.
And then, yeah, we got there and then we're like, hey, I thought that was so cool.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Oh, too early.
Oh no, I skipped to the good part.
Oh.
Did you guys ever notice that he says bustin' makes me feel good?
Yes.
I'm like,
We laugh every time we hear it now.
okay.
You said that was the best part. I was like, who you going to call is the best part? What the heck?
It's just because it's so like random and such like a
Who you going to call?
Ghostbusters. It's just such a double entendre with the bustin' and all that. Yeah.
That's funny. Have you seen the movie Casper from when we were?
Oh
was
my
that
God, when I was
back
a
in the
kid.
90s? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. It was like
Aw.
a creepy movie, but it was also really cool for some reason.
Didn't Casper turn into a boy?
Yeah.
Or they showed him as a boy sometime in the movie?
Was
Yeah.
that Christina Ricci in that movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Wow. Let me say something about Christina Ricci. Like her career
Yeah.
and like the roles that she chooses are so freaking cool, man. She played in Casper. She was Wednesday Addams. If you guys,
She was.
yeah,
I forgot about that.
And if you guys ever watch a show called Yellow Jackets, she plays a
haven't seen that.
crazy role. And then also in the new freaking Wednesday with Homegirl.
Jenna
Yeah.
Ortega?
Yeah.
Is she Filipino?
No, she's
Oh, okay.
not. She's Latina.
Ah, okay.
But Christina Ricci plays a teacher in that adaptation, in that show.
Ooh.
So, and her role is crazy too. So, like, shout out to Christina Ricci. She's kind of iconic. I mean, she's been
Oh,
acting
for sure.
since we were kids,
Yeah.
and she was a kid. So,
Yeah.
is Christina Ricci a millennial? Hang on a
She's
second.
older.
Let me see how old she
She's
is.
older than us, though, isn't she? Christina Ricci.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I gotta look it up.
But I loved that movie. Casper was definitely a classic. I haven't seen it in a really long time, but from what I remember, it's a good movie.
Ooh, she didn't make the cutoff date. She was born in 1980, and I think millennials begin 1981.
Oh,
She's an honorary millennial. I don't care.
So, well, yeah, she was in the movie scene when we were pretty much like
Kids growing up, yeah,
exactly.
for sure. I love her.
She's great.
Yeah. Are you into other scary movies, or are you kind of like
You know, it's really weird. For some reason, because I've always loved scary movies and thrillers, and I loved going to Universal Horror Nights and all of that stuff.
Ooh.
But when I got pregnant, for some reason, I just didn't feel like I wanted to entertain that kind of energy, even when it comes to watching scary movies. And I don't know, I read a lot of different things in like forums and stuff, and it's completely normal to feel that way once you have a kid or when you get pregnant. And I don't know, it's weird. Like I can't do it anymore. Like I don't want to like entertain that scary, like, I don't know. And I've always been into that. So it's so weird.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why. We've speaking of scary things, we get noises in downtown LA, and we never know like what the sources are and if they're.
We just heard one right now.
Yeah, it was like banging.
As we're talking about scary things.
Yeah.
Are you into scary movies?
I'm more into like thriller and suspense, and not so much like horror and like bloody stuff.
Like Saw.
Oh God, the first Saw, I watched it. I thought it was great. I thought it was clever. It was
the very original.
Like, yeah, the original.
That one was scary.
It was super scary. Everything after that was just way too intense for me. Way too bloody. Way too, in your face. Like,
I'll never forget the first time I watched the original Exorcist. I watched it at a friend's sleepover, and I was maybe 10, maybe 12, around that time. And
whose idea was that?
I don't know, but I didn't realize we were watching such a scary movie. And to watch it as a child, I was like traumatized because it was like also kind of religious, you know.
Yes.
So I was just freaking out. And to be honest, it's one of my top scary like films that I've ever seen of all time. The original Exorcist.
Dang.
It's just so eerie.
I've never watched it. And then I've heard that the new one is actually really good, but I don't want to watch that one either. It's a little intense.
Have you gone to Halloween Horror Nights or Knott's Scary Farm?
No, I haven't, because you know what? I get so anxious. Like I know I'm going to go there to get scared. Why would I want to do that?
A lot of people feel the same way.
I think the one time I actually did a Halloween event, I went to the Queen Mary during Halloween, and there were mazes, and there were also like people dressed up as like monsters and like on skates and like with the knee pads that spark or whatever
they like skid on the ground.
Yeah, they do like a baseball slide to you and like scare the shit out of you. And I'm like, this is not for me. We went to one maze, and my boyfriend at the time, so it was a group of friends, and then we were the last two of our group to step in. He stepped in front of me. There was like a turn, like right, maybe like 2 steps in. He cleared it, and as soon as I like took my 3rd step, somebody scared me, and I was like, I'm not with this. That's not cool at all. I'm like, why didn't you scare him? And then it was so funny because when we got to the end of the maze, we actually caught up with some of our friends, and we were making the home stretch, and we saw the tunnel to the end. And then out of nowhere, one of the monsters started chasing one of our friends, and she's so little and petite, and she ran faster than I've seen anyone ever run before. It was actually very hilarious, but I would not do that again.
The key is not to act scared, because then if you look really scared, then they'll like aim for you to try to scare you more.
Oh God, like, cause I'm sure as someone that works as a monster at like a maze or like a Halloween Horror Night, you want that satisfaction of scaring the living daylights out of the people that go there. But I heard that they're starting to do something now where different like amusement parks will give kids like necklaces that says no scaring or something, so that the actors know not to scare these kids that are wearing that necklace. And to me, I'm like,
what's the point of going then?
Why are you there?
Is it like, you think it's for people with like disabilities maybe? Or?
That's possible, but the article that I read, and I only briefly glanced at it, so I might be getting my facts wrong, but I think they just said this is for children that don't want to be scared.
I feel like there should be an age limit. Don't even bring your children there. That's not somewhere I would bring a child. Like a 16 at least and over. Or something. I don't know. Well,
as a parent, I think you should know what your children's boundaries are.
Right.
And let's say those necklaces didn't exist and your kid like really, really can't handle the scariness, just go home. Like be a good parent and just take your kid home if they're
Don't even go.
I know, right? Like, who knows if they're like, okay, let's test the waters and see how well like little Timmy does here. And like if Timmy is crying and can't stop crying, then go home. That's fine. Just decide right then and there. Do what's best for your kid.
Exactly.
Because even if you have your kid wearing that don't scare necklace, they're going to see everyone else getting scared around them. They're going to see the monsters pop out like maybe within a few feet from them because they're scaring other people that aren't wearing those necklaces.
Exactly.
So they're still going to feel like pretty shook. Are we getting too soft now? Are we getting too soft?
Oh no. I can't do it anymore. And it's hella expensive. So
Oh yeah, that too. Like, why would I pay to get
$200? I
scared?
I will tell you though, I feel like the first time of anything is always the best because it's a brand new experience. So I always feel like if it's someone's first time going, tell me, and I actually do want to go because I want to see how you react to everything, because the first time is always the best, for sure.
Quote that.
It really is.
Quote that.
It is.
That could be said for a lot of things.
Okay.
or maybe not actually. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, I just hate screaming. Honestly, I hate screaming. I would go on a roller coaster because that's me screaming from a good thrill. But like, I don't like screaming. Like I scream,
jump scares,
I scream when
yeah.
I play Jenga. Like really, and I hate that. It's like, look, somebody else take my turn because I'm getting scared that these bricks are gonna fall on me, and I don't want to scream.
Okay, but I will give you a little tidbit of advice if you do want to go next year to Halloween Horror Nights, because I used to go almost every year, like every other year, and I went. The last time I went was a couple years ago, and we had purchased the, like, you skip the line. It's kind of like VIP,
like a fast pass,
and like a fast pass kind of thing, and it does cost a little more, but I will tell you that it was absolutely worth it, because if you go in the general line, you're there for 3 hours and you don't get to go to every maze. So if you do the ticket that allows you to skip those lines, like the most you'll wait will probably be like 10 or 15 minutes, which is like nothing compared to 3 hours.
Word to the wise,
yeah,
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Oh gosh.
So if I were ever to do it, I feel like once you experience that, you can never go back, because it's like you're just wasting time in the lines.
Got it.
For a 5-minute walk through a maze.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that, sometimes it's shorter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But oh man, they really do go all out there though. I don't even know why I go when I'm like halfway closing my eyes in the mazes.
Dude, I can't put myself in that situation. I'll just embarrass myself. I might have a medical emergency and faint.
Oh my gosh.
Please stop scaring me. I hate screaming.
Did you ever watch back then, like Goosebumps, and what did they have? Or read the little, was it the Goosebump books or was it the shows?
I don't think I've ever read Goosebumps, but I did watch Are You Afraid
of the Dark? How'd you know I was going to say that right now?
Because it's so cool. The intro is so freaking cool. I now invite you to the Midnight Society, and then they throw like that
sand
friggin' sand into the flame, and it was like, whoosh, today's story is this and that. And I'm like, dude, I want to be
it was just the right amount of scareness. What's the word? Like for a kid. Eeriness for like a kid to watch.
Yeah, like it only made you a little bit uncomfortable. Like,
yeah.
It didn't like friggin' scare you to your, like, deep down in your core.
Yeah, like it wasn't like adult content scary.
Right,
but like
exactly.
just the right amount for a kid. And then also they had those books. I think it was the Goosebump books that were really fun to read. I was such a nerd.
Oh, but you know what? I watched that wasn't made for kids. That was around that time. The Crypt Keeper. What was the name of the show? The Crypt Keeper?
I think it was
Tales from the Crypt.
I don't remember if I actually watched that one.
There was this one awkward moment where I was watching it with my parents, and it was like a story that was very like adult. Like there was like a little bit of like almost nudity.
Oh shit.
And I was just like, I'm gonna like go into the kitchen and get a snack. It was like very uncomfortable. So I'm like, yeah, that show was not for kids. I don't know why I was watching it. Whoa. But yeah, that's memories.
Okay, well, Halloween is over, so
Halloween is done, and you could take these tips and apply them to next year.
We're moving on.
Fa la 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 la. Yes, we're taking it from the darkness and the bloodiness to a Christmas cheer.
Fa la la la. Okay.
Yes. But yeah, today's episode, to like bring it back to now, I wanted to talk about the creativity of our people. And also the diversity of our names. I feel like you meet Filipinos that have very Spanish-sounding names, and you have Filipinos that have very indigenous-sounding names, and then you have Filipinos that have names that you don't know what it is and like where it came from. You never heard it before, and I attribute that to just the sheer creativity of our people. I don't know. And Hazel, you mentioned that you talked to your mom about this.
Yeah. So I had asked my mom a couple questions about the origination of our last name and even our first names. And I think we're going to play a little clip of that later on, or when we edit the show, right? We'll put that in.
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah, so yeah, it was interesting what she had to say, just like where our family was from and like how it came to be. But did you get a chance to like learn about your history of your name, like even just your first name?
Yeah. Oh, I know a little bit. Yeah. So my first name is Lindsey. My parents almost named me Candace. And
Candace.
Yeah, that's imagine me as a Candace.
Interesting.
I don't know. I can see it. Candace, this. I don't know.
Interesting.
But knowing me, like people out there with the name Candace, usually they have a nickname Candy. But me, I'd probably be a rebel. Like, no, call me Dis.
Really?
Knowing me, because I'm like, no, don't call me Candy, call me Dis, because I'm Candace.
Oh gosh.
But anyways, yeah,
how about dice?
Yes, dice, roll a dice. Stupid. Aren't you glad I'm not named Candace now? But yeah, so my parents named me Lindsey. It was inspired by, I believe, the actress Lindsay Wagner. She was very popular in the 80s. And I think my parents just wanted to name me something that sounded like American.
Okay.
They didn't go certain routes that their siblings went. So, segue. This is why I wanted to talk about this, because one thing I noticed that many Filipinos, their names or first names fall into like maybe 1 out of 3 categories. Most of us. 1 category is it's either Christian or Catholic. 2, it's like very creative. And 3 is like a combination of like names. Christian and like creativity. So like Hazel, your name is Hazel, and we know traditionally Hazel is spelled Hazel, and your mom spelled it Hazzle, which I think is like super unique, and I love that about your name because you can't find, no one else has your name. So, but then there's other names that are like Jomar. Jomar, what's a Jomar? And a lot of times these names are the mashups of the mom's name and the dad's name.
Yep.
So, and that, I feel like that's like so uniquely Filipino. I don't know if anybody else in any other culture does that. So like, let's say Jomar. Your name is Jomar, so your dad's name is probably Joseph, and your mom's name is probably Mary. So Joe plus Mar equals Jomar. And I think that's so
Is
like,
that a real
fascinating
story? Like, you know somebody?
Yes.
That's the real name.
Yes.
You know what? You want to know something funny?
Yes.
So my brother's name is Martin, but they almost named him Michelin.
No.
And they didn't because of the tires. They didn't want him to be, you know, the Michelin tires.
Yeah,
they didn't want him to be associated with that. But it was a play off my mom and dad's name. My mom's name is Michelle and my dad's name is Edlin, and they almost called him Michelin. I thought that was the funniest thing, but they ended up not calling him that.
Now that you break it down like that, I'm like, that's kind of tight, honestly. But
it
the
is,
fact that it's a tire brand.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it would, if it wasn't a tire brand, they probably would have been more of a cool name.
Yeah.
But they're just like, nah, they don't want him to get clowned on, I guess.
Yeah. I know you work, I know that you and your mom's conversation, she kind of touched on how she came up with your name. Do you want to talk about that too a little bit?
So she said that her best friend's name was Florence Hazel, spelled Hazel. And so she was like really loving that name, and she just wanted to add the extra Z and do LE. But it's like funny because if you read it, it's kind of like in English, it reads as Hazzle, like, you know, but
like razzle dazzle.
Yeah,
razzle.
like razzle dazzle. And I get that a lot, and it's just like, it's fine, but it's just really funny. And then Joy is actually my name, and she just wanted me to be happy. She was like,
oh, I
Joy.
love it.
Hello, I'm here with my mom. Do I sound like a robot?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you a couple quick questions. So, Andrada, do you know the origination of that name?
Well, Andrada,
That's your maiden name.
well, that's my maiden name now. But based on my brother's story, Andrada is originated, I think, north side of the Philippines. Like I don't know if you know, if anyone knew where Nueva Ecija or Baguio is. That's what I meant, north side. But because of our great grandparents, I think they moved to a different island because Philippines have different islands. A lot of islands, basically.
So this is your Lola and Lolo.
Yeah, my Lola and Lolo.
Your mom's side? I mean, your dad's side?
Oh, yeah. You're asking Andrada, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I know. Where our last name came from.
The north side.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The song Michelle came up to her head. So they like the song, Michelle, my belle. So that's where my name came from. And then I asked, why did you add Mary? And it's funny, he just said, because it's cute.
That's it. Okay, and then how did you get my name? Hazzle.
Well, I know Hazel, Hazel, that's the original spelling, and it's an old name. I have, back in high school, I have a friend or a close friend of mine. Her name is Hazel. And she never really used it because her name originally is Florence Hazel. And when I was young, I like hazel eyes. You know, those foreigners.
The color.
When you open the magazine. So, yeah, I was like, I said, I know what. I'll name her Hazel, but I'll spell it differently. Because the original Hazel is an old classic name. And I said, I don't want her old classic name like that. So I said to myself, I'll name her Hazel, but a different spelling. Hazzle. That's where I came up.
And then Joy.
Joy, because I want you to be joyful all the time.
Joy.
Joy.
So that's a real thing. Yeah. That's pretty much how she came up with it. So she just wanted to be different. That's all.
So shout out to everyone that contributed to my IG story question that I asked a few weeks ago. It just hit me because we were brainstorming for the Fillennials, and I'm like, let's talk about Filipino names and how like unique they are or can be. And I just asked on my story, like, hey, does anybody have any mashup names that they would like to share of people that they actually know whose names were like a combination of like different people's names? And I'm going to read a few, and I'll definitely shout you guys out to all the contributors that I will read in a second. Do you have any more? I know you named Michelin as a possible name.
Okay, so my cousin, shout out to my cousin Kathy. She's the youngest of how many brothers? Well, okay, let me tell you their names. It's so interesting because all her older brothers have the letter E as the beginning of their name. And I'll like shout out to my cousins. I'm going to say all their names, okay? I'm going to say it slowly because it might just fly over your head. So the oldest is, I usually call everybody Kuya, but for the sake of this list, I'm not going to say Kuya. So there's Edsel, Edel, Errol, and Kathy. And you're wondering, why is Kathy not E? And the story with that is they almost named her Ethel, but didn't like that name, I guess, and just went with Kathy because, I don't know.
Wow, simple as that.
Yeah, but she was the youngest of all the boys and the only girl. So
I see a pattern with the boy's name. It starts with an E and ends with an L.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
And my aunt and uncle's names have nothing to do with any of it. Like
really
my uncle,
wonder.
Tito Rudy and Tita Nita.
Rudy and Nita.
I think it's Anita, but we call her Tita Nita.
Interesting. Not one of them start with an E.
Nope.
That's
so isn't that?
interesting.
That's one of the most interesting names that I've ever come across. And the spelling too.
So my cousin, we call him JJ. He's a perfect example. And I was so confused when I learned his real name. So I thought this whole time his name was Jeremy. I thought his name was Jeremy, but it's actually Jeremy. Jermie.
Oh.
And I was like, Jeremy? Why is it Jeremy? And it's because of his dad. His dad's name is June, so that's the J. And his mom's name is Hermie, Hermie. So they just swapped the H and the J and came up with Jeremy. But it sounds like Jeremy.
That's interesting.
When I found that out, my mind was blown. because I remember we were like at a family party and we were kids, and I'm like, your real name is Jeremy, huh, JJ? And he's like, no, it's Jeremy. And I'm like, Jeremy. He's like, Jeremy. I'm like, what's the difference? And like he spelled it out for me, and I was like, oh shit, I had no idea.
That's funny.
So that's definitely an example of a mashup name. And I've pulled up, it's so many people that actually contributed. Like
so
I had to
tight.
take a screenshot of everybody that answered my question. I'm gonna name a few that I think are really cool. So shout out to Ron Neri Jr., Ronnie Boy, aka
Ronnie Boy.
and he said that the name Janelle is a combination of Eugene and Eloisa.
Whoa.
Eugene and Eloisa came up with Janelle.
Interesting. That's a cool name.
Yeah, right? And then let's see. The homie Latruse, he said Marvee, Marvee, and that's a combination of Marvin and LV. And it's so funny because LV, that sounds like a nickname in and of itself.
It does actually.
Yeah. And then we have another one from Latruse, Jumar, Jumar, Judy and Mark. Another one, him, and shout out to my cousin Chadel, because my cousin Chadel, Chadel, is a combination of Cha-Cha, which is his dad, and Delia, which is his mom.
Interesting. Okay, so my dad's actually the Tito Boy of the family, but it was Tito Boyet.
Boyet.
Yeah.
Oh.
As the nickname.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does anybody know why certain uncles my theory of why certain uncles and certain aunts are called boy and baby are probably because they're the youngest of all the siblings, and that's how they got their nickname. Like
Maybe.
like Tita Baby is probably like the baby girl.
Maybe.
And Tita Boy is like the youngest boy.
I'm not sure, but there's a Tita Baby in our family too on my dad's side, and I actually don't even know if that's her real, if it's like just the nickname.
I hope her real name's not Baby.
Dude, I don't even know.
ma'am, baby, ma'am.
Oh, I gotta
Excuse me,
share
ma'am,
the
baby.
story of do like significant others often have nicknames for each other.
Ooh.
And I could share ours is really stupid, but it's like
It's
our thing. But I could share that. Okay, so it kind of derived from a lot of different names. So in the beginning with my husband, when we were dating, it was just Babe, and then from Babe it kind of derived from, because he would make fun of me. It sounded like May, like I would put an M instead of a B, so
Mabe.
he'd be like Mabe, like trying to like mock me, and then it turned into like Mabel. I don't know how he comes up with weird nicknames. And then so Mabel was a thing, and then I realized he never replied until like when I would say Babe, he would never reply, but if I called him different things, and he would reply like Mabe or Mabel. And then Mabel derived to Bolo, you know, the bull from Mabel. And then so Bolo is just like a name we made up, and then from there now it's just, I think that it's still that. But and also you said Cha-Cha because your uncle likes to dance,
dancing,
and
yeah.
I call my son Cha-Cha, but like
Aw,
for no reason other than I just call him Cha-Cha. Like I don't know why.
Does he respond to it? Like, does
he does
smile when you
actually,
say,
yeah.
"Aw"?
And then he kind of looks like his cheeks like Chopau's, so I call him Chopau head. Chopau.
I love it. Your son's so cute.
Thank
I love those nicknames. But yeah, like, I mean, I feel like,
Do you guys have a significant like name for each other? With
me and my boyfriend, we do. I'll keep it inside though. I'll keep it to ourselves.
Keep it personal.
It's kind of silly. It's kind of silly. It's nothing like how you and JP,
like where we actually call each other.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because it's like you guys actually almost make your own language.
Yeah, it's
after
our
a
own
while.
language.
I kind of feel like,
Couples tend to do that though,
yeah,
right? You
couples
kinda
and
make
just
your
like
own language.
families in general have your own like language. Even sometimes have your own accent.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine maybe you and your siblings have your own kind of like way of communicating too.
Probably.
Maybe a little bit.
I mean, it probably doesn't feel weird to me, but from outsiders, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Like talking to like when I was younger, talking to my parents,
Yeah.
I would always put on like a dorky accent, just cause I don't know what it is. Maybe because they had a Filipino accent and I didn't, and maybe I just wanted to like
Oh.
let's have a mutual accent.
It's kind of like an endearing thing, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
this is a
well,
fun
if
episode.
if anybody there wants to contribute their mashup names or of anybody that they have in their family, any one of their friends, if you want to contribute it, definitely comment under our social medias at the.Fillennials on Instagram and TikTok as well. If you have any input as far as like how we're doing and if you enjoyed this episode, definitely let us know. Yeah, we're doing this for y'all. This is a lot of fun.
I know. I do want to do a small business shout out, something that we definitely want to incorporate for each for each episode. So we're going to do a shout out to Cafe 86, and I love Cafe 86. They have a halo kind of like a different version of it at their place, and they also have like a lot of ube desserts. They have this thing called, what is this called again? Shoot, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they have a lot of amazing things, and I didn't realize they have a lot of locations, but the one I frequent is the one in Artesia, and they are Filipino owned. And I do want to, as this thing loads, I wanted to share a little bit of their backstory because it's really interesting.
While you pull that up, can I say another name?
Yeah, of course.
Because we're talking about like, we recently sat down with our girls from the Short Asian Girls podcast, and we were talking about how radio has inspired us growing up. And I want to say DJ Verman from, I think, Power 106. His real name is actually Verman, and it's a combination of Virginia and Manuel. And this whole time I thought Verman was like a nickname like Superman, Verman.
What? I didn't know that.
So shout out to Joe Jizzle 128 for that tidbit.
Okay, I found it. So Cafe 86, it was born out of a passion for Filipino flavors and their desire to share them with the world, which was founded by Ginger and James, and they wanted to introduce rich and diverse flavors of the Philippines to a wider audience. And they really bring the unique essence of ube to everyone. So they have a lot of amazing ube desserts for sure. And check them out. And their Instagram is at cafe_86.
Shout out to Cafe 86. And you guys comment down below your favorite way to eat ube. It's in everything nowadays. My favorite is just ube and pandesal warmed up. So good.
I would say halo for me.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll change my answer to that. That's awesome. Well, you guys, I hope you really enjoyed this installment of the Fillennials Podcast. And we hope you tune in to the next one, because we're doing this every week, girl.
Every week, baby.
Every single week on every major streaming platform, especially tracklife.com.
Yep. And there will be some exclusive content dropping on tracklife.com really soon, probably by the time you listen to this episode, because we have a lot of stuff coming out and we're so excited. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Stay tuned, and we'll catch you next time.
I'm Hazel Joy.
And I'm Lindsey Does It.
Peace.